ladies. Welcome to Better Bachelor. My name is Joker with a face for radio and a voice for print. A few of you in the last couple of videos said my audio sounded a little scratchy. So I moved my microphone closer to me, and I think it's my voice that is becoming scratchy over thousands of videos of talking to you gentlemen. So I'll do my best that I can. Also, I took a week, 10 days off. You know, as a YouTube content creator, and I'll make this super quick. As a YouTube content creator, I find that either people get burned out of doing the videos, or they feel like they're forced to do videos even when there's no good content, and they end up putting out crap that people get disinterested in, or the content creator gets kind of burnt out and they're not into it anymore, and people can feel this, and they decided to tune away from the channel or whatever, and then ultimately the YouTuber stops doing YouTube videos. So I take my time off. I went down and spent some time with my mom during Thanksgiving. I did a bunch of errands around the house that my father used to take care of for her, and so I helped her get caught up on that stuff. So I had a good holiday. I hope you guys did too as well. All right, jumping right into the story. So this woman discovers hypergamy, and she discovers the hypergamy trap, which is chasing Chad or becoming an alpha widow. Now, I know a lot of people are like, don't use all these crazy terms, but they're very accurate. You know, the hypergamy trap is when a woman is used to sleeping and casually dating very attractive men. He uses her for the fun times, and she falls in love and wants to marry this guy, but he will never settle for her. And then when we talk about being an alpha widow, that's kind of what happens is after she's slept with, the top 10, 20% of guys, she wants to marry them. They will never have anything to do with her as far as long-term relationship. And so she's single the rest of her life trying to get with this guy, or she waits until her 30s when her value's quickly decreasing and she snags somebody on the way down. Well, this is a video that I found today. If you don't know who Cat Turd is, it's a small, well, it's not a small account. It's a simple account. It's just a picture of a cat, and it says, "The turd you can't flush." And he's got 2.1 million followers. He talks about politics and mostly politics. And he's sharing this video. And so far it's been viewed a couple 100,000 times just on his account alone. The reason why I bring this particular point of the video up is that people that are outside of men's content are starting to share this stuff. I'm seeing a lot of both political and conservative and even some libertarian and more accounts out there sharing kind of the plight of men and what men are struggling through today. So, it's always one thing to say, we have this little niche, little corner of the internet, when in reality, this stuff is going mainstream, and a lot of men and women are finding this content. This woman, of course, is one of them. So we're going to go over the video here real quick. It's about 3.5 minutes. I'm going to stop it occasionally just to spout on, but this is a guy who has taken her little speech here on TikTok, and he's broken it down. And it's kind of nice because I don't have to break it down like I always do. Now we've got somebody that's kind of outside, again, the sphere, doing the breakdown a little bit, and he's a much better drawer than I am, or a better illustrator. So we'll let him break it down for her. All right, here's a woman discovering, and more women are finding out that they're in the hypergamy trap.
A relationship truly only works when a woman settles for a man that she considers mid.
That would be, of course, mid women settling for mid men.
I used to talk.
Now I'm going to pause it there for a second. The term that he's using and she's using, and this is accurate, is when a 6 feels like she has to settle for a 6, or a 7 feels like she has to settle for a 7. This is not settling. This is dating what is equal to you, but for all women, that is settling. The reason why is because she's we're going to call discount Sharon Stone here, trailer park Sharon Stone. We're going to call her, let's just say, for argument's sake, she's a 6. Now, she's out at the bar, and 10, 9, and 8 will take her home, sleep with her, casually hook up with her for a month or two, and that is her new base level of what she feels she deserves for a relationship. In reality, it is a 6 or a 7. But she sees it as settling for somebody that's just like her because she's used to sleeping with and going out with the guys that are a little bit higher on the chain, not realizing that obviously she's just being used.
Settling for mid-men.
I used to talk so much about girls who settled, and now I hope to become one.
She used to reach out of her league, and now she is aging, so she hopes to grab somebody on the way down.
Because when a woman does the opposite and falls in real love with someone she's attracted to and who's at her level, it's a disaster.
Here's where she gets confused. Attracted to and at her level are not the same thing unless you're up here. It's a disaster because you're going out of your league and he doesn't really want you.
Again, valid point. Everything he says is pretty valid, and it's what we talk about. The reason why she feels it's a disaster is because she feels she's settling outside of her league. Her league, if she is a 6, her league is a 5 or 6 or 7 man. If she were a 10, her league is a 9 or 10 man. If she's a 3, her league really is a 2, 3, or 4 man. That's the way things have traditionally worked. But because of the internet and because of women that are really, many of them not very attractive, willing to put thirsty pictures up on social media where they may get 1,000 likes from, mouth breathers, they think, oh, this means a lot of men, even the ones that are 8, 9s, and 10s, are really into me.
That's when the power dynamic and balance gets thrown off kilter because the man doesn't hold her on a pedestal.
Yes, we all know that putting her on a pedestal is the best way to get what you want. Women love men who are below them.
So
there's so much to this that I really want to touch on. Listen to her words again. It's about power dynamic. Now, I don't know about you, but when I'm dating somebody, I am in the kind of the men's content world here, but I don't think of a relationship as a power dynamic. I look at it as, I try to date. I've dated women that I think are prettier than I am long term. I've dated women that I think are maybe at my level or even maybe slightly below my attractiveness level. But the reason why I did that and I did it long term and I was happy is because I look at the summation of who somebody is. Maybe she's not that attractive in the face. Maybe she's got a slamming body. Maybe she's, like kind of average for the body, but her face is real pretty. Maybe she's average all the way around, but she's super funny and interesting and is feminine and is laid back and doesn't give me crap every time I decide to have a conversation about something. Maybe she's super giving and is willing to, is one of those girls that's like, you took me out to dinner. I want to appreciate it by cooking you dinner, and I'm going to give you a back rub, and we'll watch your favorite movie while you're doing that. And then she gives you the happy ending after the back rub. Like, there's a lot of things that can come into, hey, you know what? This is someone I'm going to date for a little while. As you can hear by women and women's standards today here from Trailer Park Sharon Stone, it's that it's power dynamics. It's about look. It's about money. It's about power. And while women do appreciate that a lot more than men do, obviously, she looks at the whole thing as getting what I want from a guy that I think I want to be with. When she says, I want to be with a man that puts me up on a pedestal because that's, the power dynamics and all that. What she's really saying is, I want to be with I'm a 7 or a 6 or whatever, and I want to date a 9 that puts me on a pedestal. That's never, ever, ever going to happen. But what happens is she's used to dating and sleeping with 9s and 8s because they got nothing better to do and they want to get their willy wet. And then she's used to dating 6s or 5s that put her up on a pedestal. And she wants the two worlds to combine and be in the perfect man. And that is a trap because it does not exist and it will never happen. But she's been told not to settle. And so she's going to keep looking until she finds it. The problem is with, crackhead Sharon Stone, is that as she ages and as she continually searches for this man, eventually she's going to age right out of the market.
And balance gets thrown off kilter because the man doesn't hold her on a pedestal.
Yes, we all know that putting her on a pedestal is the best way to get what you want. Women love men who are below them.
So she never has the upper hand.
Exactly, because this is what you do when you have the upper hand.
Now, let me pause it on that for a second. It says deceptive attention absorption. And what she's got is she's got the low value man standing on a stool, pouring his attention and his love and his effort, just pouring it into a funnel down her throat. And she just loves all of this. This is exactly what she's wanting. The problem is, again, she wants this from the best men. She doesn't want it from the men she sees that are beneath her. And what I find so interesting is that women today, you take this gal here. She finds a guy that is on her level, but you know what? She's funny, she's sweet, she's attractive. A guy finds her interesting, whatever. He's going to be a good man to her. He's going to probably treat her well. I don't know if you should never pedestalize a woman, but he's going to treat her as she should be expected. And so what's happening is that she feels that that's settling because that man is beneath her. When in reality, this is just really how it's supposed to work in dating.
Has the upper hand.
Exactly, because this is what you do when you have the upper hand.
And that makes her feel crazy, delulu, out of control. Because what we're supposed to do as women is just like being receptive.
So now she's mocking the idea of respecting the man that she chose, which is a pretty good idea as long as he treats you well.
Like allow him to pursue us and chase us, like even in a long-term relationship. If you're with a man you're not even really that attracted to, you're gonna do that naturally because you don't give a
So if you're with a guy on your level, he's gonna be chasing you all the time because you're not really attracted to him. Look how mad she is.
But if you're in love,
Let me pause here for a second. So going back to the chart here as he's explaining, what's happening with these women is women, again, are supposed to date across. Sixes with sixes, give or take one or two. Sixes with sixes, fives, nines and nines, right? She's upset that a six is pursuing her as a six, or 7 to 7, whatever you want to say is in her range. She's upset that that guy is chasing her. It drives her crazy because that's not what she wants. That's annoying to her, even though really that's the guy she should be dating. Instead, what she's basically saying here is, I want those guys to leave me alone, and I want the guys that are 9s and 8s and 9s and 10s to chase after me. That's who I want chasing after me, but they don't. So instead, these women pine and love and long and desire these upper men, and these upper men have nothing to do with them other than casually hooking up and sleeping with them. And in her own words, it drives her crazy. What is the drive her crazy part? That's the butterflies. That's the thrill of the chase. That's the tingles. That's the warm and fuzzies. And women have become addicted to that, and that is what makes them feel like it's actually a good relationship instead of the relationship with a guy that treats you as an equal, that respects you, and that treats you well. Well, she doesn't get the butterfly and the tingles. Why? Because she feels that settling. And again, I'm going to play this back again just through this whole thing to watch her kind of go off the rails, because this is her discovering she's in the trap. She's in the hypergamy trap, that she cannot find happiness because the men she wants don't want her, and the men that want her, she doesn't want them.
It's a pretty good idea as long as he treats you well.
like allow him to pursue us and chase us, like even in a long-term relationship. If you're with a man you're not even really that attracted to, you're gonna do that naturally because you don't give a
So if you're with a guy on your level, he's gonna be chasing you all the time because you're not really attracted to him. Look how mad she is.
But if you're in love, you give so many
Yes, if you're in love, then you definitely do give a lot of those.
These couples that have made it work and are together in our modern society have followed this formula.
Remember, she's saying nothing wrong. She is spot on about how to solve the problem. It's just from the female perspective.
Nice guy who the woman isn't attracted to and who she never considered being with finally wore her the down until she said, ugh, fine, I guess. Because the attractive ones are putting me into a crazy, anxious cycle. And now that woman is bored and sexually unfulfilled, but she's secure. At least she has that. Emotional security. The most important element for a woman to have to ensure success in a romantic partnership.
All right, I'm going to pause there again because as you can see, he's waving and pointing to a lot of things. But again, he is correct. What she is saying is, I want these beautiful bad boys that give me the tingles and make me feel so good, but they're driving me crazy, and I'm emotionally exhausted chasing after them, sleeping with them, falling in love with them, and they don't even seem to see that I exist after they do the screw, nut, and bolt, or as we like to call it, the hardware store. So that guy does that, and she's emotionally exhausted from the age of 21 or 20 or 18 or whatever. She's chased after those guys. She's slept with them. She's dated them. She's been with them, and now she's 32, 33, 34, 35. Those guys, those options are going away. I'm sure Dollar Store Sharon Stone here is still getting men to sleep with her, but she wants a relationship, and those guys will not give it to her, so it's driving her crazy. So she gets exhausted. She's tired. She's given up. I'm just done with this. I guess if I want a long-term relationship, I'll settle. And what does she settle for? To a man she is not attracted to, that she feels really doesn't have much to offer her, and he should be lucky to have her. What's that mean? It means really she's settling on a guy that's equal to her, that it's on her level. But she's had it so good so long as basically a living toy for these guys, a real live doll for them to use, that now she's disappointed and upset. This is why, in many cases, body count matters. This is why her past matters. Because if she has a body count, let me just rewind here for just a second. If she has a body count that's high, is she a 6 that's sleeping with all these 6s? No, of course not. What is she doing? She's a 6 that's putting it out there and sleeping with the 7s, the 8s, the 9s, and the 10s over and over and over again. And so now when she sleeps with you and you're a 6, or she dates you and you're a 6, she's comparing you to all the 7s, 8s, 9s, and 10s that she's slept with, dated, been with, spent time with. Now here's the real risk, okay, is that the high value men are the ones that she's attracted to. She feels like she's settled for you, and then you're dating and you think things are fine. You get your winky wet twice a week. Things are going okay. Everything seems to be fine. You go out for nice dinners. She's a nice woman. Everything's great. Maybe you even end up proposing and marrying her because she says, I'm out of options, and I'm not super attracted to him, but I do want kids someday, or I do want a family, or I do want a man, and I'm running out of options. Here's the danger. Anytime a 7, 8, 9, or 10 comes back around and shows some interest in her, and she gets the tingle feels, and she thinks there might be a chance for that to work, she cheats on her man. Or she breaks up with her man and starts dating this other guy. And without fail, what happens almost all the time in these relationships is the 8, 9, or 10 guy sleeps with him, maybe lies, maybe tells him, oh, I really like you and things are really great and I want to be with you. She breaks up her man, or breaks up with her man or her family, and then in 6 months or 3 months, she's dumped on her head. She's single, and she starts the whole cycle over again. The reason why we know this is because of all the videos and all the stories and everything you see of, I was a mom and I cheated on my husband and it rekindled my life, or it made me feel attractive again. Her husband, who's a 6, probably found her as a 6 very attractive, and he loved her, but that's not what rekindles her. What rekindles her is a 7, 8, 9, or 10 suddenly finding her attractive. Then she says, oh, I feel desired, and I feel wanted, and I feel attractive again. So what's she do? She cheats. How many stories out there are, I was a married mom, and my husband was good to me and the kids were good, but I felt I needed more in life, or I needed to explore, or I needed some space. What space? He's the 6'2" he's the 6'2" tall guy who's a 9 that wants to rearrange her, that she met at the gym, and she wants to explore that with him. And so she does. And then what do we see time after time after time? These same women 3, 4, 5 years later, right back where this woman is right now, where she says, I'm miserable and I'm settling and I'm angry.
If you listen to women, they will tell you everything that I tell you. All these women are only attracted to these men. And so these women have to choose between being used and discarded or being sexually unfulfilled. There's the fun choice and the smart choice, and there's nothing anyone can do about it because there's not enough of these men to go around. This is one of the main points that I'm making. Women here need to stop believing that they are here because these guys are not going to marry you. They're going to put you here, and then you're going to be sad.
When he says they're going to put you here, he's got 3 categories here. It looks like sweeters, sleepers, and keepers. I don't know what the sweeters is. But anyway, the sleepers is, I'm going to sleep with you and have some fun with you, and then I'll walk away. The keepers are the ones you get married and engaged with. And what he's correctly saying is these men, the 7, 8s, and 9s, are going to put you in the sleeper category and not the keeper category. And you're going to, all the men that these women end up chasing, they all put them in the sleeper category, and these women want them to be keeper category, and it's not.
And when you come to these guys later in life, they're going to say, well, where the hell have you been for the last 20 years? And then everyone's sad. Again, this woman has the right idea. The only thing she said wrong was that these guys were on her level. Your level is the guys who will put you on the pedestal.
So what I think is interesting about this, right, is that in many ways, she does have it right in that she wants to find a guy on her level before it's too late, but the problem is the guys on her level don't want her, so she must date down. What's the reality of it? The men she sees on her level are 8, 9, and 10. They're not on her level. They are way above her. And so when she says, I have to settle for men that are beneath me, she's actually talking about dating guys that are on her level. The problem with this is that this is happening at all levels of the chain, with the exception of the 9 and 10 women at the top. The 9 and 10 women at the top are 9s and 10s. And so the only men that they will go out and be with are other 9s and 10s. And because those women probably aren't dumped or discarded as often, those men are like, hey, you know what? She's probably a keeper. Those women, ironically, the prettiest women out there, the women that are in the most high demand, they're the ones probably with the lowest body count. Why? Because those women know their value, and so they keep it in check with the men of the same value. A 10 woman, and when we talk about 10, we're not just talking about looks, we're talking about career, we're talking about family, we're talking about personality. When that woman meets that man, they're on the same level, and so they probably have a good long-term relationship with both of the men and the woman, knowing they're not going to be able to do much better. But what happens with all the women, all the other women? 1s, 2s, and 3s are sleeping with guys that are 4, 5, and 6. And the women that are 4, 5, and 6 are sleeping with the 7, 8s, and 9s. And because men are willing to sleep down or date down to get access to the bedroom, but they're not willing to keep that woman. They're not willing to wife her up. They're not willing to marry her. They're not willing to date her long term. And so those women are the ones with the high body counts because they keep shooting their shot at the guy that's the 9s and the 10s and the 8s, and she keeps getting used over and over and over again until she starts running out of options. Her value starts to plummet because of her age, and she latches onto a guy when she's free falling. And where she reaches out and latches, if she's a 6, is probably a 6. But to her, He's a 3. He's not willing. He's not worthy. And so she's either unhappy the rest of her life, a miserable wife, not sexually attracted to the husband. She's always looking for a way to level up or step out. Something always goes wrong. And so when so many people say, oh, but marriage statistics or divorce statistics are this, it doesn't mean you're divorced. No, maybe it doesn't mean that she divorces the guy, but does that mean she's cheating on him behind his back? Does that mean that she's maybe barely giving him any bedroom action because she's not attracted to him? She's doing it as a duty to shut him up and to keep him to being a good provider for the family. That's what happens. And men know this. Guys, when you've just been given, duty sex, right? It's part of her job versus a woman that is really into you and is excited for it. You guys know the difference. You can feel that energy level. And I think there's a whole lot of guys that are like, when it comes to, well, she's going to do it for the job. She's going to do it because she should, or she feels she needs to. You guys know what that feels like. And there's a whole lot of guys out there that, whether they're married or dating or whatever, that are like, I don't really want that. Yeah, it would meet my physical needs, but it's not exciting. I don't feel like I'm really wanted. I feel like she's just kind of giving it up to shut me up, and that's not what I want. And so what ends up happening is a guy gets a woman and he's excited to have her as a girlfriend because they're on the same level. They may have some things in common. He's really excited to date her. But over time, and maybe in the beginning she is for him, but over time she realizes, she thinks she's settling for a guy that's equal to her. The sex kind of dries up. Her being sweet, her being nice, that kind of goes away. But you're married, and you could lose half your stuff if she decides to bounce, or if you decide to bounce. You could lose half your stuff. So now you're stuck. And maybe you've got a kid or two. Now you're definitely stuck. And what ends up happening? You got a guy that's miserable, that isn't getting laid, that doesn't have really any romance in his life anymore. He's been relegated to the back seat because the kids come first. She's not really attracted to him anymore. So in many cases, she doesn't even give up the punani anymore. Like the bedroom's dead. That just dries up. And the guy finds himself in literal hell on earth. And that's why he's miserable. And that's why a lot of guys, even if they're still married and they haven't been divorced, that's why they're so unhappy and things just don't work out. And he can't leave because if he does, he could lose access to the kids. He could lose access to half his resources. This is why marriage is a trap. This is why, in many times, long-term relationships are a trap, especially when you cohabitate, right? Because then all of a sudden, it's kind of like trying to get peanut butter out of a carpet. It's really tough to get rid of a woman, okay, when she's embedded in your life and she gets the cash and prizes, but she's making you miserable. And so a lot of guys shut down, they put up with it, and that is their lot in life. That's probably why men end up leaving this planet of old age sooner than women so they can escape. Guys, thank you very much for joining me. Don't forget, I have movie nights over on betterbachelor.locals.com. Awesome forum over there. We have lots of great discussions. It's a great community of like-minded guys. It's a couple bucks a month. Come on over and support me. Keeps me free from having to do ads over on YouTube. And if YouTube demonetizes whatever, it means I can still do my content and pay my bills. I would appreciate it. We'll see you in the next one.